Hi, and welcome back to yet another summer edition of UCA Scoreboard, where today we're going to be talking about UCA Sugar Bear Volleyball. I'm your host, Samantha Hudon, joined by Abigail Hodgson and Spencer Griffin, as usual, to talk about volleyball. We're going to jump right into the 2013 UCA volleyball season. Was again one for the record books, going undefeated in conference play and winning the Southland regular season and conference titles, tournament titles. You guys got where I was going with that. Did you have any feeling from the first game of the season that they would accomplish all of this?
Well, even before their first game, I saw their schedule and I was like, gosh, that's brutal. Kansas, Arizona, Marquette, Penn State, I believe. I was like, geez, what are you doing, Coach McFetrich? And they come out and beat Kansas, and I'm like, come on, really? Is this team the real deal? And I thought maybe they just kind of got a fluke win here at Kansas. But then after finally seeing them in person and how powerful they were, how deep of a bench they had, how good of a team they were all around, I knew they were the real deal. Obviously didn't know they was going to go undefeated in conference. I didn't think that. But, I thought that they definitely had the potential to win the conference because of seeing them in person. That's all it took for me was one time seeing it in person. But, beating Kansas was obviously huge. I just wasn't sure because sometimes a team can do that. A team can get a fluke win and then, struggle. But not the case for them.
Yeah, sometimes, teams have big one-hit wonder type of games. But I don't think I realized or I grasped the enormity of this win. I didn't think that I didn't really know that they were going to go undefeated once the first few games happened and you could see the team and the momentum and the level that they were playing that season, that you knew that it was going to be a really special year. And just before conference, like you said, the preseason, it's either going to hurt you or it's going to help you. And I think, those big games, those losses didn't affect UCA at all. And Marquette, they took to 5 sets. And Arizona, that was just a really good team. But UCA also didn't play to their capabilities that they could have. But even before you even look at the schedule, you just have to compare the previous seasons and the success that UCA volleyball has had. And also you just have to keep in mind that they had 6 seniors who were truly remarkable. We'll get to that. But when you know that these are their last volleyball season of their career, unless, they're going to go play pro, that they were going to play every game like it was their last until it was their last. So I think that that game certainly set the tone for the season. But I don't think I knew at the time that, oh my gosh, they beat 20 because UCA, they can win games like that. So I don't think it was too big of a surprise for me. Yeah,
and in the Prince Center, we were calling the games and, thinking back on it, you get 5-6 games and you don't call a loss and you're like, okay, we barely even call a set loss. What's going on here? This team's good.
Yeah, I think I got in trouble actually, quite a few times. But one of the times I said, maybe they should lose not a game but maybe a set because they're so used to winning. When they get behind, they're not going to know what to do. And, we saw that in the Northwestern State game that they were behind, but of course they rallied and came back. But I wasn't hoping they were losing at all. I was predicting they were going to go undefeated.
Yeah, you did.
Once the season started, I thought that, this was going to be, it's not a Cinderella story because they came in dominating, but I just think that it was going to be a special year, and it was.
Well, did you ever think at some point throughout the season that they were not going to win the SLC?
Not until the championship game against Northwestern State. As I said, once the season started, I knew that they were going to go undefeated. I knew that the leadership and the talented players that they have on this team, that they were not going to drop a set, not a game. I didn't expect them not even to drop a set, but especially a game. I didn't think they were going to lose till Northwestern State in those first 2 sets. That was not the Sugar Bears at all. It was a completely different team out on that court, and I was afraid that they were going to come out, I don't know if they call it like a halftime or intermission or what they call it, but I'm sure I interviewed Coach McFetrich, and he said that, he fired him up, and he said something in that in between those sets. But that game, I really did think that they may lose that one.
In a regular season, I completely agree with you. I didn't think so in the regular season, not till they got to that game against Northwestern. In the regular season, they killed everyone. They faced, most teams got one set on. And whenever a team can't even take you into the fifth set, it's just like, I mean, what can you do against this team? And so I thought they would kind of bulldoze their way through the Southland Conference tournament. But then again, they didn't. We saw them go down 2-0, and I thought the season was over. I really did. I was like, this team hasn't dropped 2 sets in an entire match, let alone the first 2, and put themselves down in a 2-0 hole. Yeah, Northwestern State had a ton of momentum. I was like, okay, it's Northwestern State's time. I almost turned the computer off. I was like, should I call it quits? I didn't, thank God. And I think it just speaks to UCA's experience, not only with the players and having a lot of senior leadership, but also, Coach McFetrich. He's a great coach, and obviously he did a lot to get his team back, and it was super exciting. One of the more exciting UCA sports moments of my entire 4 years here at UCA. Personally, I got to admit, I counted them out. I'm sorry, Coach. But, yeah, they impressed me that match for sure, because I thought it's the final game, and you go down 2-0, you're done. I
just remember cheering for them in that 5th set, and they came back that 3rd and 4th set, handily beat Northwestern State. That 5th set, I think it was like 15-13. They won exactly by 2, and I remember seeing people that go to UCA tweet or like videotape their reaction and celebration, because it really was a battling Sugar Bear comeback.
Yeah, I think that was the defining moment of basically all those seniors' careers. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
Right. Sugar Bear Volleyball returned to the NCAA tournament, but they had to play Purdue, which swept them in the first round. What does UCA need to do to get past the first round?
I'm just going to say they need to keep trying. Just keep going to the tournament. That's all you can do, and maybe hope for a lucky seeding here or there, but really just keep going to the tournament consistently, and even like Coach McFetrich said in his interview that they could possibly eventually get an at-large bid, which would be huge for them. Obviously, they'd rather win the tournament, I'm sure, but getting an at-large bid would be huge for the Southland Conference in general, really. But I think the key is just to keep going and keep trying. Keep trying.
Yeah, I mean, just when you look at the talent that Purdue was, when we talked to McFetrich, he did point out that the Big Ten is the best and most competitive conference for the volleyball programs. 6 of the Big Ten teams went to the Sweet 16 in that NCAA tournament. I think they're going to need the luck of the draw these next few times. Obviously, they just need that experience to build up off of 2 NCAA tournaments appearances. That's good, but you're just going to need more and more experience. I think they're going to need a really good first matchup game. They went in as the 3 seed, which is better than the 4 seed from when they went up to Washington, but I think he even said he would have rather been the 4th seed this time to play Mizzou. So they were a better seeding, which is great, but they had to play Purdue, which they went and beat Mizzou right after that, who went undefeated all year and throughout the SEC. So it's really just a whole new ball game. It's the big dance. It's just a huge stepping stone compared to Southland Conference play. I mean, you look at teams like New Orleans, who I felt bad for them when they were playing in the tournament and when they played in the Ferris against the Sugar Bears, and then the Sugar Bears go from that to playing Purdue. Yeah. So it just kind of stinks that they did beat Kansas, and they do have a great pre-conference schedule, and he even name-dropped some schools earlier in our interview. He's going to keep the momentum up and up and up, but, it just stinks when you go from playing Kansas to New Orleans and then you face Purdue.
Yeah. Right. Well, the SLC Player and Setter of the Year was Marissa Collins. She finished her amazing career at Central Arkansas this past season. How is Coach going to replace her?
We talked about this all season, and all good things must come to an end, and it's sad that Marissa's going to leave UCA because it's going to be probably the biggest loss UCA will have. We talked about trying to replace Jessica Hayes, and not a knock to her talent because she was great for the Sugar Bears, but they easily did that. They have a deep bench. We'll talk about that. But Marissa Collins, I have to find a freshman, she came in as a freshman, played all 4 years, and she actually had a different kind of style of play before coming to UCA. So she totally turned her game around, and then was that successful. That's just raw volleyball talent, and she was, I think, second team district in high school, so she wasn't even like a huge volleyball prospect. And then she comes in and was third in 2013, third for the sets, and I think sixth this year for her setting percentages. And I just think you can't say she's irreplaceable, because you have to replace her, and they will. They do have Amy South. She'll be a junior next year, so she's had 2 years under Marissa's belt, which is good. You know, she's got to shadow under her and be mentored by Marissa, but I don't think she'll put the numbers up Marissa will. I don't think that at all. But Amy's job is to get the ball and set it up for the outside hitters, and thank goodness that UCA's outside hitters are so talented that if Amy does her job and gets the ball in those players' hands, then they'll be successful. They also have a transfer that we couldn't really talk about, so maybe she'll play above Amy, but I think Amy's going to be #1 starting setter for the next year or so. It's going to be a tough loss for the Sugar Bears, but I think that they can reform around it.
Yeah, I think you can call her irreplaceable. That's just, like you said, that's just talent that you don't see every day, and that's her job. Like, the offense centers around her. So that's a hard position to replace, as opposed to, you mentioned Jessica Hayes being an outside hitter. That one a little bit easier, because the offense doesn't necessarily hinge around her. First, it's got to get to her. And if it doesn't ever get to Jessica Hayes or, Heather Schnars, whoever's playing that outside hitter, they can't do anything with it. So I think because of that, it is a more difficult position to replace. She was incredible. She was absolutely incredible. And I think you mentioned Amy South. I don't think she's going to touch Marissa Collins. I really don't.
No.
And I think we may even see like some combo setters to start with, depending on if he does have a transfer coming in. Whatever. I mean, I'm sure he's got to have another setter. You don't just have one setter on the team. But I'm interested to see. There was a lot of errors with Amy South last season when she did get into the matches. Marissa Collins is just so phenomenal of a player. One of the better players to come to UCA, and I think you can call her irreplaceable. I
don't want to knock Amy South's potential, but Marissa, it's such a big loss. But Amy did get to practice, and you face some of the best hitters in the conference that you have on your team, so that's good for her. And they do have another transfer coming in. She'll be here next year. I don't know what grade level she'll be in, and I just think until then they find that person that they can start as a freshman, because Amy doesn't have that experience. So although she gets to practice, when it comes time to games, it's completely different, and the pressure's on for her for sure. That's a lot. That kind of stinks. It's some big, huge footsteps to fill.
And that's one thing that Marissa Collins did, is obviously she was a great setter, but she was versatile. She could play defense too and get those digs she needed deep in those clutch situations in those games. She had that great experience, that great leadership for real. She had some great leadership, I thought, leadership experience, and she was real versatile, and all those things coming into one player. She really proved that she deserved to be the player of the year.
Yeah, I like how you pointed out, like, the offense revolves around her. It's replacing a quarterback. You got to run an offensive play based on your quarterback's talents, and the point guard in basketball. So setter is obviously a huge, huge part of the offensive play for the Bears.
Well, we know how big it is to lose Collins, but besides her, the Sugar Bears are losing 6 seniors from last season. Is this going to be a rebuilding year, or will underclassmen just have to step into the starting roles?
I don't think McFatridge has building years. I don't think he knows what that word means. He knows his underclassmen will step up, and now those that are now upperclassmen are going to continue to perform well, continue to thrive. He's got a lot of players. I'm excited to see the middle blocker position. I think they're going to be real deep at that. I think they're going to continue to be deep at the outside hitters. One of them I'm a little interested is defense. Beth Rogers played a lot last year. I'm interested to see how they replace her. I think Evie Grace Singleton will get a whole lot of playing time this next upcoming season. She proved that she was really a great asset to that team. down in the stretch, which is crucial. She was a freshman doing this. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, it's still a really great team. I don't think he has rebuilding year in his vocabulary.
No, absolutely not. You know, he's a genius when it comes to volleyball and running a program. Obviously, he's got 2 championships in 3 years, so that's just amazing as a coach. Underclassmen's going to step up. It's not a rebuilding year. They did lose. I think the biggest thing is leadership. I mean, the talent, the stats, the numbers were amazing. You had Nagy, you had the transfer who came in, Paige. That was just a surprise and a great addition. And along with Collins, Beth Rogers was great at passing. And I think that Shelby Behringer is going to have to really step up as she's about to enter her senior year in the libero position. But again, Fulani Petties was a freshman, and her athleticism is just out of this world. She's not the tallest, but she can jump. And Every Grace, we saw what she can do as well. And then you have Alicia Dietrich, Heather Schnars, incredible volleyball player. Scout Brooks is a little bit inconsistent, but she's still a solid player. So you do have these girls. You have quite an amount of seniors that are stepping up. He's pumped about his recruits, and if we've taken anything about what McFatrick can do, he's going to bring people that can play as freshmen. So I think that it's not going to be a rebuilding year, but the underclassmen are definitely going to step up.
Mm-hmm. Well, we focused a lot last season on how the Sugar Bears would replace Jessica Hayes. In only her sophomore season, Heather Schnars answered the question rather quickly. After averaging 3.51 kills per set, do you think she can get even better?
That's a crazy amount of kills per set. That's not per game. She's hitting 4 or 5 kills a set. And that's not even counting her service aces, which lead the conference. I don't even know how she hits it. Like, basically touches the ceiling and she just smacks it. I don't want to say she's reached her peaking point, but I think that she's shown what she can do and that these numbers are going to stay consistent. And I don't know how well they're going to compare with Marissa Collins' loss. So Amy South's definitely going to have to set that ball up like Marissa can so she can get those kills. I think she's just going to keep being this consistent because she has been her first 2 years. I'm not going to say she's reached her potential. She's super talented. She's proved that to everybody. But I think we'll probably see these same numbers, maybe a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on Amy's talent to get the ball to her.
Yeah, that definitely hinges on it. But that's basically the same thing I was going to say. She's already playing phenomenally. That number is ridiculous. And I guess she can get slightly better. I'm not real sure how. Maybe more consistent serve. I don't know. That's the only thing I could say. She gets a few service errors here and there, but that comes with serving the ball that hard. You just take that risk with that reward. But if she gets any better, UCA better watch those record books because she did that she was playing great as a freshman, and now she's working her way up. And I think if she continues at the pace she's at, UCA needs to watch those record books because she could break some.
Well, is there a player on the roster that you're excited about seeing more from or more playing time for?
I'm going to mention one and maybe give another one a little honorable mention. Obviously, Fulani Petties. I think we can all agree that she's one of the funnest players to watch, how athletic she is, how aggressive she seems at the net. She has a whole lot of heart, and I feel it's like she would never, ever give up. Regardless of, what the score was, she's not going to give up. She's going to play her hardest, and like you mentioned, that was as a freshman. I could just imagine how it's going to be like in seasons to come. Also, my honorable mention was going to be Evie Grace Singleton. I've already talked about her a little bit. She ended her season super strong as a freshman, and I think when you can be that clutch as a freshman, because some of those came down pretty down to I'm not going to say down to the wire. UCA didn't have just a ton of down to the wire games, but she played extremely well, and she could be, like I said earlier, she could just be a real crucial part to this team. It's going to be hard for McFatrick to put all these players on, get all these players onto the court at different times in the match, but I guess we'll see how he does it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to know who to put in, when to put them in. Everyone's going to have certain things they're good at, certain things they're not, so he'll know who to put in. I agree. Fulani Petties is my person to see just because it's so exciting as a fan and just to announce volleyball games when you can see the passion in her eyes. You know, sometimes you see people and their heads aren't in the game or they look like they're distracted, but her eyes on getting that ball to hit the other side of the court, and she usually does it. She's just phenomenal athlete, just how she attacks the ball, how she dives for the ball, everything, and how she blocks everything. And my favorite is when she celebrates and the face and like the roar she gets. It's fun, and I think the headgear that she had to wear due to a concussion made her so intimidating looking.
You know all about that.
I do. It's unfortunate, you know, it doesn't help your self-confidence, but it doesn't matter because when you're hitting the ball like that, you know, who cares? Yeah. I'm also interested just to see how Amy South fills that position and how that is such a big hole. But Fulani Petties is definitely my I'm going to track her when I leave.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, what's it going to take for your Central Arkansas volleyball to make it 3 straight Southland Conference championships?
I don't think it's going to take too much. I think the biggest thing is just knocking down Northwestern State. They don't get to play them here in Conway, which is going to be tough, and Northwestern State hasn't lost a player. And so when you don't have a rebuilding year and you do have experienced players, they're just really going to need to step up. I think they're going to need to be really consistent. I don't think that they need to change their game because seniors and that leadership left, because once again you have 6 or 7 players who have been around for a while, at least going to be seniors. And I think the freshmen, again, McFatrick proves he only brings in people that are going to get playing time right off the bat. So I think just being consistent, if they do have to change some things around, they're just going to play the way McFatrick plays. So I don't think anything's going to change, and I think they're going to be a strong contender to win it again.
Okay. I think it's just going to take them not to take things for granted. I think that's the biggest thing. They can't just expect to be handed the title ever since they've won 2 in a row. You can't just expect to win. You know, just walk into the gym and they're going to be like, okay, you're the Southland Conference champions just because you're UCA. You definitely can't expect that, and I think that's the biggest thing that they have to realize. You've seen teams do in the past, not necessarily UCA, but different teams, and so they just got to know that they've still got to work, and McFatrick definitely knows that, and he's definitely going to get them to work. He's doing a good job right now. And
other conference teams are aware of the big loss that happened against UCA. They know that Jessica Nagy has graduated. They know Marissa Collins is gone. Yeah. Even Kyle Hartman stepped up her senior year with a phenomenal game. That one game, I don't even know. I think she got like 19 kills.
Yeah, she did
that
well.
one game, that was just crazy. So I think that, you know, the other conference teams know that this might be my chance to get them while they did lose those key players. So they're just going to have to be ready.
Well, Abigail had a chance to sit down with Coach McFatrick. She's been killing it with interviews this year, scoring just about everybody, but she got to talk to him about what he expects to see from his team in the upcoming season.
You are coming off back-to-back Southland Conference championships in only your 3rd season as the head coach. Did you expect this much success to come so quick?
Well, I don't know if I expected it, but we certainly dreamed about it and shot for it. So even though it's my 3rd year as head coach, I've been here for going on 8 years now. And so our systems of play, offensively and defensively never really changed. A former coach, Steve McRoberts, is a friend of mine, and he said, if you come up here, you get to do whatever you want. And so I got to run my systems of play then, and I still do it now. And so it wasn't that big of a leap from going from assistant coach to head coach. So I had high expectations. And I think our players built into the philosophy of hard work and dreaming big, and so it's worked out really, really well.
This season was obviously your best of the 3. You went undefeated in Southland Conference play, and you only went into the 5th set once in the Southland Conference. Did you have a good feeling about this season in August?
I really did. You know, we scheduled tough 2 years ago when we went 30-5. This past year, we scheduled tougher, and we went 29-4. I had a good feeling, especially after the first match of the season, because we beat Kansas, who was number 9 in the nation. And we beat them pretty good. We beat them 3-1. We played really, really well. We played Pac-12 Arizona the very next match and lost to them, and I didn't think we played very well. So I knew we were going to be very, very difficult to beat. And so, you know, we just kind of got on a roll once the conference season started. And it's the things our players have accomplished have never been accomplished before in the history of the conference, to be honest with you. They were 20 games consecutive in the conference where we went where we didn't go 5 games in a set. And so some incredible milestones, not only for us here at UCA, which we want our entire student body to be proud of, but in the conference history too. I mean, it just hasn't been done before. And so the 21st match of the year was the finals of the Southland Conference tournament, and we were down 0-2, and that hadn't happened the entire season. And so there were a couple of interesting talks. And so our girls came out in the 3rd game against Northwestern State and beat them pretty handily, 25-13. And then in the 4th game, we won 25-14. And in the 5th game, it was 15-12. And I wasn't surprised at all, as our team battles, our players play hard, and they really, really wanted to win.
You touched up a little bit about it, but opening the 2013 season against Kansas, you did win, and that was in the University of Arizona tournament. Mm-hmm. Describe the momentum that win gave you guys for the rest of the season.
It gave us incredible momentum. I mean, we, you know, a lot of people, a lot of fellow coaches look at me kind of crazy when they find out who I schedule. And I've got all the faith in the world in our players and our coaching staff, and we're not going to shrink back from anybody. And that's just my plan and philosophy, and everybody's bought into it. And if we win, great. If not, you will definitely remember Sugar Bear Volleyball. When we won that first game against Kansas, ranked number 9 in the nation, who ended up being in the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament last year, you know, several of us had tears in our eyes. They were tears of joy because we just put down a pretty highly ranked team. And so it gave us incredible momentum. You know, when we played that match, we weren't afraid to go up against Penn State, who won the national championship, and Marquette, who was 11th in the nation, that we probably should have beat in retrospect. But an incredible amount of momentum for winning that game.
The Sugar Bears did nothing short of dominate during the regular season, again going undefeated and not having that 5th set till the Northwestern State championship game. Were you worried that the magical season was going to come to an end in that 5th set?
You know, I really wasn't. You know, in a situation like that, you're kind of in the moment. You know, what can we do to turn this thing around? And I don't think worry ever crept in. It was an incredible season. Had Northwestern State beat us in the long run, nothing would have taken away from the fact that our players worked their tails off to get to 29 wins. Mm-hmm. And so you really can't worry in a situation like that. We're a play-by-play, contact-by-contact team. Our coaches are in tune to before every single play, offensively and defensively, as to what we're going to run, what we're going to try. And so we're just thinking, all right, how do we get out of this? How do we get our mojo going? And once we got our mojo going, it was like boom time. You know, it was just crazy. It was so much fun. And then at the very end of the match, one of the things that you say worry, one of the things that probably worried me a little bit is one of our first-team all-conference middle blockers, Alicia Dietrich, went down. Mm-hmm. I thought she broke her ankle. And there's a picture floating around somewhere of me holding her hand while she's on the court laying down. I'm like, this girl is down.
Yeah.
And so later on in the match, we call her Deech. All of our players have a nickname. Later on in the match, you know, I thought she was out for good, and she's really good at what we call random play. Mm-hmm. And it was like 13-11 in the 5th game, us. And I was thinking, boy, I wish I had Deech right now because she's good at random. And I turned around and looked at the end of the bench where she normally is sitting, mm-hmm. and she's right behind me. And I saw her, and I'm like, can you go in? She goes, yeah. Boom, she goes in. And the very next 2 plays were random. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. And she ends up getting involved. We score 2 points and win the match. And so the only worry came when, you know, one of my kids was injured, and I thought it was pretty bad.
Central Arkansas was able to advance to the NCAA tournament, and they were swept by Purdue. But this is the second time in 2 years that they did advance. What has that meant to your program?
Well, it's meant, I don't know that I could put it into words because nobody's done it in the nation, to be honest with you. We've only been eligible for the NCAA postseason for 4 years, and we have gone to the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. You know, the first year we ended up playing number 9 Washington at their place in front of 5,000 people, and what a great opportunity. And we were a number 4 seed in that region. Last year, we ended up being a number 3 seed in the region, and we faced the number 2 seed Purdue, who was a buzzsaw out of the Big Ten. Just the idea that we made it, and you know, we've gone 59-9 the last 2 years, which really is the second most amount of wins in all of Division I the last 2 years. You know, it's meant a ton to our program, but what's happening around the nation, we're finding, is people like, what the heck's going on down there at UCA? I had a coach call me this week from the East Coast, and he goes, "You're my model. You're my model.
Wow.
I want to do what you guys are doing." Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's meant a ton to our program, but it's meant a lot for us from a recruiting standpoint, and it's meant a, you know, we've made an impact in the volleyball world because people are starting to take notice. Central Arkansas, you know, to be honest, in the last 2 years, there have been, let's see, 80,000 people have seen the University of Central Arkansas posted at the NCAA Women's Volleyball Final Four as making the NCAA tournament. 80,000 people see that in the last 2 years. So the exposure that we've gotten for this school is it's really immeasurable, I got to tell you. It's been great.
Yeah, that's so impressive. While you were at the NCAA tournament the past year, what was the biggest difference that you saw between Central Arkansas and Purdue?
You know, the first thing that jumps out at you is Purdue is big. And we've historically not been big. We're going to get bigger. We've got some players coming in that are 6'2", 6'3", but their size was the biggest difference. That doesn't matter to us because we're always the smallest team. We've been the smallest team in the Southland Conference. Well, in my 7 years here, I think we're always the smallest or one of the, you know, 2 or 3 smallest teams. But you know, Purdue comes from the best conference in the nation. The Big Ten is better than the Pac-12 now in women's volleyball, and so they play tough matches every night. And it's not a surprise that 6 out of the final Sweet 16 teams came from the Big Ten. And so, did we play our best? No, we didn't. Would we like to play it over again? Absolutely, because it wasn't our best effort, and it was frustrating. It's frustrating to our players. It's frustrating to our coaches. Frustrating to me. We didn't put our best foot forward, but to be quite honest with you, that's what makes us work so hard right now to try to go back. We love going to the NCAA tournament. Being in the NCAA tournament is huge for us as a program and huge for the University of Central Arkansas. It really is.
Now that you've made it 2 years in a row, sometimes when we ask coaches about their program, we ask them, how often do you think that they're going to make it routinely in the Southland tournament? But how often do you think that it's just going to be a normal thing for Central Arkansas to make it to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I'd love for it to be an every year normal thing. I mean, that's our goal, to be honest with you. Our goal is to get to the NCAA tournament and start to make some noise. Mm-hmm. And we are working so hard to make that happen. I'd love to be able to say, hey, it's going to happen every year. It's impossible for it to happen every year. But what we're trying to do is to schedule, you know, we lost 6 seniors this past year. 4 of them were starters. And our schedule this fall is harder than last year's schedule, because I'm not about to let our players think that I don't have the faith and confidence in them to go out there and kick some butt. You know, we're not going to. Did we lose some great players? We lost some great players. 2 of them are going to go to Europe and play professionally. But, you know, we've got to play those teams because early in the season, because we have to try to build our RPI, our ranking. And then if we have a hiccup or a misstep in the Southland Conference tournament or during the season, then we hopefully will have a high enough RPI so that we can become the first ever at-large team from the conference to get a berth in the NCAA tournament. And so that's our goal, and that's what we strive to do.
You kind of talked about the seniors that you are going to miss next year, but the catalyst of the team for the past few years had to be the Southland Conference Player of the Year, Marissa Collins. How much has she meant to the team as her time as a Sugar Bear?
Immeasurable. She was, you know, a lot of people don't know this, and I tell this story a lot. She was a second team high school setter and a second team, a backup high school, backup setter in club as well. And I remember watching her and looking at her and recruiting her and checking off on her, and I'm thinking, this is weird. I don't get this. The other setter was very, very good too. But she came in here from day one, and we kind of hit it off, and she was very, very coachable. We had to change a lot of things because our systems of play are different. And I said, MC, we call her MC, I don't want you standing there, I want you standing here. And I don't want you this close to the net, I want you this far from the net. And this, I don't want you to set the ball this high, I want you to set that high. And so she's like, whatever you want. And so her characteristics, great leadership, great job of running the floor, great job of communicating with me about who the options are in the very next play. Good defensive player, so good and improved so much in the last 4 years. 2 years ago, her junior year, she was third in the nation in assists. And to give you an idea how great that is, there are about 700 Division I setters, and she's third.
Wow.
And then last year, she was sixth in the nation in assists per game. And, you know, it makes sense. She's got a professional contract waiting for her to play in Europe, and we're trying to help her get that worked out now. But, you know, we got to move on, and we're going to miss those young ladies, not just for what they did on the court, but we love them. You know, they're family, and they're friends, and we're excited that we can kind of let them go and let them go help a couple of other teams, professional teams or in the workforce or whatever. And so all of the seniors that we're losing, you know, we're like, look, we want you to be great. We want you to be great. And if you leave here and you go play pro volleyball, great for you. And we want to help you get there. And if it's not that, we want you to be a great mom or a great lawyer or a great, whatever it is. It doesn't matter to us. Just in your 4 or 5 years here, we want to help you be great in whatever you're going to be pursuing after you leave here. And so is it sad to see them go? Yes. Are we excited to see what they can accomplish? Absolutely we are. But we've got another setter now that's understudied Marissa for 2 years. Her name is Amy South from Houston, Texas. And Amy has done a fantastic job for us this spring. She's getting a really good grasp of the offense. In fact, she's done it for 2 years, and she's scrimmaged and won her fair share of battles the last 2 years. So we have full confidence in Amy for this fall, and we're excited. We kind of wish the season would start tomorrow, or at least I do.
Well, knowing that Amy is going to fill in Colin's position, how have the other 5 seniors leaving, how has that affected your recruiting to fill their spots?
Well, that's a great question. So on the right side, we had first-team all-conference player Jessica Nagy from Carleton, Michigan, and you know, what a pleasure coaching her. I mean, just from her freshman year, she came in as a middle blocker. She ends up as a first-team right-side player. She's got a professional opportunity to play in Europe as well. So it just goes to show you how sorely she was going to be missed, or is going to be missed. But so one of our recruiting goals is, you know, we had Amy to replace Marissa. We needed somebody to replace Jessica Nagy. We call her Jag. And so we had to search high and low for a player to replace Jag. And I can talk about her now because she just signed yesterday, and her name is Megan Nash. She's from Oakville, Ontario, Canada. and we fully expect Megan to come in here and pick up right where Jag left off. She's a tremendous talent, and we're excited about her and our other incoming freshmen as well.
That must be a northern thing, that position.
Yeah.
She's from Michigan.
There's a lot of them up there. And, interestingly enough, we played Penn State, the national champion, last year, and we gave them all they wanted the first 2 games. And their coach afterwards said, he said, "Come here, I want to talk to you." He goes, "Your players play hard." And he goes, "You guys are more of a professional team than we are." And he goes, we have set systems of play, and you guys are running here and going there and doing all this crazy stuff. And he was very complimentary. And he said to me, "You might think about going up and looking at Canada." Well, he didn't know that, but we had already had her commit from Canada. So
yeah.
I don't know, maybe they're taller up there. But we'll see. I want to mention, though, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
we have 4 other seniors that graduated. Paige Gantar was a middle blocker who transferred in last year and fit in like a glove. Before the season was over last year, Paige had a professional opportunity to play in Peru, and she decided to stay here, so she'll be back here this fall. She's working on her master's degree. Kyle Hartman, one of the greatest players in person, people we could ever ask to coach.
It was fun to see her excel, especially at the end of that season. Her playing time kind of drifted off a little bit, but then she came in like a powerhouse those past games at the end.
She was incredible, and we always used to say to Kyle, all of our players have a nickname. Her nickname is Snapper, and I said, "Snap, listen, opportunities are going to present themselves, and when they do, you got to be ready." So one of our current players who hits the ball so hard it looks like an aspirin coming at you, Philani Petties, hits a ball and breaks Jag's wrist. And so Jag has to sit out, and there's Kyle Snapper's opportunity. So Snapper goes in and lights it up. If we don't have her, we don't go undefeated in the conference. So Snapper is pursuing her second degree, and will be here in the stands cheering us on in the fall. And then we've got 2 other players. Beth Rogers, we call her Raji, was an incredible ball controller for us for 4 years. Going to miss that. Love that kid, and just
always had her pink bow in her hair.
Always, yeah. Pink is her thing. Raji digs pink, so she loves it. It's crazy, everything she does. Even we've got a window box out in the lobby, and hers is filled with pink stuff. But she will be here this fall also, so she's not leaving yet, and she's also competing along with Marissa Collins and Jessica Nagy and former UCA star Chloe Smith. They're all competing, and Autumn Erickson, who played in 2005. So we literally have a UCA alumni team that's playing in the U.S. Open in Phoenix, Arizona in May, and I'll be out there to watch them. The sixth senior, is Megan Elmquist, and what a dream of a young lady. She came in here raring to go and fought health problems off and on for 4 years, but you never hear her complain. She's probably one of the better teammates any coach could ever ask for.
That's awesome. It's going to be really hard to see them leave, but it sounds like you have the recruiting field, and we know that you recruit everywhere across America and now overseas as well. And I know that, is there a transfer coming in? I think I've seen her around campus before.
Yes, we can't. I can't mention her, but she becomes what the NCAA refers to as a qualifier. So we can't release any information about her until the grades come out at the end of this semester. Once that happens and she passes, then she becomes a qualifier, and then we can release information about her. But the 3 recruits that we can talk about are, of course, Megan Nash from Ontario, Canada. Emily Aranda is a middle blocker from Orange, California, and plays in a very, very good club. And she's kind of in the mold of current middle blocker Alicia Dietrich. In fact, I've already asked Deitch to kind of take her under her wing a little bit. And they're very, very similar players. Emily hits the heck out of the ball. She can really thump it. And so she needs a nickname. So, hey, we're going to call her Thumper, starting right now. All right.
Just now.
Yeah, boom.
I'm glad I could be a part of that.
That's it. All right. So you get to be a part of nicknaming. Yeah. So Thumper, Aranda. So she's a good player, gets up really high, touches 10 foot, and what we need, and hits the ball really, really well. We also needed a great ball controller. So we have Shauna Sear from Corona, California. And as a defensive player, she was our most valuable player on our high school team 4 years in a row, and most valuable player, in the all-star team in her league in high school. And so she will help us with ball control a little bit, which is very, very important.
I was fortunate to announce many of the home volleyball games, and alongside my announcing partner, Spencer Griffin, we spoke a lot about the depth that you guys had on the roster. Why is it so important for you to play every single player? I mean, it's amazing that you have the ability to do that.
Well, first of all, it's a great question. Second of all, I do want to mention Spencer. He has been great for UCA volleyball, and we're going to miss him. He's at all the matches. He does a great job covering us, and so whoever replaces him, I'm hoping whoever it is half as good as Spencer, we'll be happy. But you're right, and it's kind of cool that you noticed that we play so many players, because I will tell you this, we play more players than anybody.
Yeah.
And that's our philosophy, is not to take a play off. So if we need to get somebody back there for just one play, it might be a serve, it might be for serve reception, we'll do it. We've got a ton of subs to use, and we use more than anybody else. But I think the way we train, the way we do drills, and the way we practice kind of helps us develop depth. And every player that plays for us knows that you cannot be on our team. If we have 14, if we have 16, you cannot play for the Sugar Bears unless you can contribute on the court, because we're not going to have anybody on our roster that can help us, or that would take reps from somebody else. And so, we try to be 14 deep, and last year we were 14 deep.
We saw what Evie Grace Singleton and Fulani Petties can do as freshmen last year. They really stepped up in some games. Are we possibly going to see the roles of current players increase, especially those younger ones?
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. We couldn't ask for anything more from Fulani and Evie Grace last year. Two, incredible players, but more important, great young ladies. Just incredible. I've coached Evie Grace since she was 13. And so for her to come in here and do what she did in the finals of the championship tournament, she was named ESPN Player of the Match. And she did kind of like what Snapper did. And so opportunity presented itself, she went in there and she delivered. Fulani is just a joy to coach, kind of a joy to mentor, and has some God-given athleticism that you just don't see very often. And just when she gets on it, there's no stopping her. So Fulani started most of the year last year, and Evie Grace kind of had spot duty. But yeah, it's natural for them to, as they come up, to get more and more playing time.
We are still a few weeks away from the 2014 season schedule being released, but can you tell us what we can expect from it?
Sure, absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, we schedule tough. And last year when I scheduled Penn State, the Florida State assistant said, Dave, what are you doing, man? We don't even schedule them. And I'm like, God, it'd be fun. Let's go for it. And so we kind of have maintained that same philosophy. So we play Oregon, Pac-12, top 20, first weekend of the year. We play Ohio State, Big Ten, top program. We play LSU. We play Florida State. We're trying to get a midweek match with Oklahoma. That's just kind of who we are and what we want to do. And so the trouble we're having is getting them in here.
Yeah.
It's tough to get them in here. And so what a lot of schools will do is they'll agree to play us, but instead of, and I just want them to return. But they don't want to return, so they give us money. So we take it. so until we can start getting them to return, we're just going to have to take some money. So
it might be a good thing for them, though, because it's pretty hard to win in the Prince Center.
The Prince Center, President Courtway comes to our matches a lot, and he says this when we bring recruits by. We always go over there and take them to President Courtway and try to introduce them to Athletic Director Dr. Teague. But President Courtway says he thinks this is the greatest place to play college volleyball in the nation. And I don't know if that's completely true. It is a great place to play. It's, an athletic director from our conference flew up here to watch us play, to see if he can't copy what we got going on here at their school. And so, we love it. We wish we could get more seats in here, and we're trying to do it. But it is a great place to play, and we're happy with it.
How do you feel about when you guys play in the Ferris Center? Do you wish that sometimes you could host the Southland Conference tournament in here?
Well, we've hosted it the first 2 years, in 2011 and 2012 we hosted in the Ferris. We love playing in the Ferris, especially since there are over 1,000 people in there, and the most we can get in here is 450. But we like playing over there. If we get a Penn State to come in, and I'm asking them to come in now, or Washington or somebody like that, then we would probably have to move the game over there, although I wouldn't want to. We'd like to play them in here.
Yeah.
We would love playing in the Ferris. It's just we don't do it that often, and so this is home to us. It's home to our players. They have a comfort zone over here. The fans are right on the court. It's just kind of a cool scene over here. It really is. We love it. But, we think the only way to improve the Print Center would be to figure out a way to keep the ambiance the same, but get more seats in here. And we're looking at every option possible. Just something to get more people in here.
Can Central Arkansas Volleyball be a three-peat Southland Championship again this year?
Yes, I think we can. I really do. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's not easy replacing 6 great young ladies. Two of them were first team all conference, and the third one led the league in hitting, but didn't have enough matches played to be considered in the stats.
Oh.
And because we had Dietrich, Filani Petties, and Paige Gantar all in the middle sharing time. Well, it just so happens Paige led the league in hitting and didn't become first team all conference. So essentially we lost 3 first team all conference players and one of the best passers in the league. So that is tough to overcome. Can we overcome it? Yeah, that's what we're working our tails off trying to do. And that's what we have our sights set on doing. And so as long as we don't play for those things, we kind of have our own mottos and stuff, and one of them is to play for each other. And I think when they do that and they focus on that, we can accomplish a lot. So we're fully expecting to work our tails off every single match and kind of see where it all shakes out.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Coach.
Sure.
I know we kind of took away from your practice time, but I really enjoyed sitting down and talking to you, so best of luck next season.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you. Master's degree. Stay in touch with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, after having back-to-back conference and tournament championships, does this make Coach McFatridge the best coach on the UCA campus? It's kind of hard to say because we got like 1,000 new coaches this year.
Yeah, there's no argument he's the best.
Right.
I think he is absolutely the best, and not only the best, he is the nicest coach.
Yeah, he sure is.
Super nice guy.
I guess because we
He
covered him in a positive
He invited
way.
us to dinner the other day with the volleyball
really
team.
When your team wins, you get good coverage, so he likes us so far.
You can't be mad.
Right?
True. But he came in and he immediately started winning. He didn't have a problem with that. He may be the best UCA coach ever, period. And that's saying something. That's saying a lot. But if he continues at the rate he's at, I think he's got that locked down. Dude, all he does is win, and that's all he knows.
Absolutely, especially as an assistant coach. He mentioned that I forgot the head coach's name, who he was an assistant under.
McRoberts?
Yeah, it might have been, McRoberts. But he got to run his offense under him as the assistant. McRoberts just said, do what you do. I'm going to let you run it. And so he's been running his offense. He might have been head coach for 3 years, but they've been doing his style play for 6 now, and they've been successful since. I personally, especially as an athlete, I've never had a coach with that much experience. I've never had a soccer coach who also at the same time was still playing professionally, who's had kids, who, I don't want to guess his age because I love him, so I'm not going to guess, but he's still playing, I think, the Canadian team.
Yeah, he's mentioned a lot of things.
Just you look at his resume, you look at the new coaches we brought in, maybe they can win a playoff game or bring a tournament or bring a championship to UCA and McFatridge. We're like, we're going to see routinely that they make NCAA appearances. He's really putting UCA volleyball on the map in the volleyball nation, in the business. I don't want to see him go ever.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take him a lot to leave UCA. Hopefully he's here to stay. He might move up to a better program. Maybe Big Ten, like you said, is the best. I think he definitely has the coaching capabilities to coach a Big Ten team.
Right.
But I'm going to agree with you. He might be the best.
Yeah.
He's been the best that we've seen in a while. And I think he's going to be the best for the future.
Yeah, and there is no, if he's going to win. It's when he's going to win, because they know he's going to win. It's almost like with him, anything less than a championship is now almost a failure for UCA volleyball, because we're so used to him doing so well. And it's pretty incredible to see.
Well, I mean, I'd like to say give me a bold prediction for Central Arkansas volleyball, but let's take it one step further than just conference play, because we know how they can do inside the SLC. So what is your bold prediction for UCA if, say, they win the conference all over again?
Well, I think they're going to win the conference all over again.
I don't know if that's bold anymore. We know what they can do. So.
It might be bold this year just because Northwestern State has the chances on their side.
They really
so they're hosting the tournament, haven't lost a player, went to the championship last year and took, UCA to the 5th set. And UCA had those 6 key seniors, and they had Marissa Collins and those big players. So, anything could happen in the playoffs in Southland postseason. Bold, I don't think they're going to win their first round game, but I don't think they're going to get swept, because the past 2 appearances, they have been swept 3 matches to 0. So I think they may take it to the, 4th, maybe 5th set against the team. But I'm going to just say bold prediction. I don't think they're going to make it past the first round. Who knows? They might. I hope they do, but I think they're at least going to be more competitive than they have been.
Yeah. Coach mentioned having a pretty tough non-conference schedule. Again, that's what he likes to do. I like that he's doing it. I think that they're going to get another quality win, kind of like they had with Kansas. Obviously, I think against a different school this upcoming season. And I think because of that, and I actually am not sure they're going to win it all. I think Northwestern,
it's going to be really
tough with having everybody coming back. But I think because I'm not so sure about that, I think that this is really bold.
Okay, do it.
I think they might get the at-large bid in the tournament. I think they're going to win enough, and they're going to prove themselves pretty formidable in the preseason that they are going to get the at-large bid.
That's what we're looking for.
Maybe the boldest thing I've said.
They might be Oregon. They might be. He named dropped the schools. I mean, the conference or the preseason schedule comes out in a couple weeks, so that'll be fun to look forward to. But I agree with you. If they don't win, then hopefully they win enough to get the at-large bid, which would be big. Yeah. And I'd love to see these big-name teams come to Conway. It's so hard. Oh, yeah. Usually when you go make a contract with a team, you agree to travel there, and then the next year they're going to travel back. But it's hard to bring in, these big schools, but like McFatrick said, if they pay us to go play them, we will, because we might beat you, and they underestimate them. So we'll take your money and take the win with it.
Take some money.
Well, this is kind of bittersweet, but we've come to an end of our volleyball summer edition. But it's the saddest episode I think I'll ever film for Scoreboard, because I'm not graduating, but they are, and it really does make me sad and tear up a little bit.
I'm going to tear up.
I'm tearing up. Spencer won't tear up because he never cries with us. I know, it really makes me sad.
What is this?
Are you crying?
I'm not. Stop.
Well, Abigail and I are emotional women, but we'd like to thank Abigail and Spencer for all of your hard work here with Scoreboard. And
it's been fun.
I know Abigail's going to kill it in Chicago at grad school, and Spencer, who knows where we'll find you.
I might be sleeping on somebody's couch.
You'll probably still be here with us.
I'm going to fight him on the streets in Chicago.
I'll be on the streets.
He'll probably still be here doing John's dirty work. I don't know, but it's been great being
Shout out
with
to
you guys.
John,
Yeah,
our producer.
With the 3 of us, but they're leaving me so I can be a super senior. next year. But thank you guys for your work with us. I have loved every second of it. I'm really sad that y'all are leaving.
I've had a good time too.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. To the viewers, thanks for tuning in and watching us for these last couple years. But other than that, that wraps up our summer edition of volleyball. And tune in this fall so we can tell you all about what volleyball actually ends up doing.